Gym podcast. My name is Oisin Quinn. I'm sure you know that if you're listening. Um, so today's podcast kind of, I suppose, a different one. Usually I have a guest on. Occasionally we'll do a solo podcast. Obviously, just with everything that's going on in the world, you can't really get any guests. So I'm sitting here by myself outside in a pair of sliders in the back garden recording. Kind of gotten to that point now where boredom has got me as well. I kind of want to record more solo podcasts, and I kind of always question myself whether or not people really want to listen to me, but I just thought, fuck it, I'll just play it and listen to myself, if anything. So today in the podcast, kind of going to chat about a few different things, just kind of going to chat about just myself, how I'm kind of getting on with everything, my thoughts on the whole situation, COVID situation, what my training is currently like, and maybe some training tips as well for you too. So hopefully you'll get something out of this here. So yeah, it's been I haven't actually done a podcast and chatted about the whole coronavirus situation yet, which is a bit strange, like, 'cause I think everyone in the world is talking about it at the minute. It's just fucking mental how everyone in the world is affected by it. It's fucking crazy, but it is what it is. So obviously myself, I've had to close down the gym, which has been tough because it's actually now like a year. This is nearly a year anniversary since I opened the gym. So I was planning on having a fucking party and all. So that didn't happen, which is good crack. But it's been a strange transition because, you know, initially I was really annoyed about it because it kind of felt like it was out of my hands, and I really didn't want to close the gym. As time went on, then I realised that it was important to close it, and it was needed, and it was, if I tried to keep it open, it wouldn't have been a good idea. So I had to close it, and I think then I was kind of more content with that there. And now this is, I think, 2 or 3 weeks on, or maybe 4 weeks on since that there. And you know, for the past 2 years, really, my whole life has been the gym and training people and working with people and building this business. So it's been a strange transition from that to now not doing it. But to be honest, this kind of time is going on. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the time now where it's kind of stress free and you're not worried about getting down for clients, and you're not worried about trying to get back in time for training and sorting things out. You know, for a long time there's just a lot of stress because you're trying to say yes to everybody, and ultimately that comes at the expense of yourself. So for this wee while it's been nice. Now I know that after a while, like, and you feel it now, I miss my clients, I miss chatting to them, I miss having the crack with them, I miss being down in the gym with them. You know, that's the highlights usually of my day whenever I get to work with them. It always gives me a big high afterwards. So that's been kind of hard, and you can't really replicate that, and that's been tough. And then obviously, you know, money wise, that's pretty much my only source of income. Like, I have online clients, but you know, the reality is a lot of them go as well, for two main reasons. Number one, a lot of people are unfortunately out of work at the minute, or reduced hours, so they don't have the available money to spend on coaching, which is understandable. And then a lot of people just don't have fucking gyms and stuff to train in. So you know, you try and send bodyweight programs and stuff, but I understand that some people just aren't able to sort of go on that. So you're basically making no money at the minute, which is tough, like, and that's been kind of hard to take. But thankfully I don't really spend too much money on anything other than stuff for the gym, so I've kind of been able to save up for a while and not be completely screwed right now. But if it goes on for a couple of months, then it will be fairly screwed, but I don't think it will. But it's been weird, like. So basically my kind of routine at the minute is, like, I'm waking up, alarm goes at 7, and usually I'll get out of bed for 7:30 and be down at the latest for 8 o'clock in the morning, go down and get a cup of coffee, and I plan out my day, and I'll sit and write out what I'm going to do. So really the main things at the minute for me is I'm still doing my master's course. They haven't really changed anything, which is good. I still have a lot of assignments and all to do for that. Although we don't have any more class, or everything's kind of going up to the left in terms of, like, our dissertation, it's still just as normal with them. So I've been working around that most days, so that takes up a good chunk of my day. And then training usually twice a day, so I usually try and do something in the morning first thing, whether that be go for a walk. I brought the air bike from the gym up to the house, and maybe just sit in it for like maybe 100 calories or something, or else usually I've been doing like a sprinting or a running workout. Like this morning I done sprints, So I start off my day usually with exercise within the first couple of hours, and then I'll do work then throughout the rest of the day. So that could be the uni work, as I'm saying, or else what I've actually used this time now to do is kind of reflect on maybe my weaknesses as a coach and maybe areas I wasn't strong in. So a couple of areas I identified was that I maybe wasn't strong in terms of knowing the exact anatomy. Like obviously I have a good idea of anatomy, but knowing maybe the particular areas and knowing how they function and what their functions are, and you know, if there's a weakness in that area, how do you assess it, and then if you do find that weakness, what do you do to improve that? So I've been using my time to try and study up on that, and I feel even so far I've kind of gained a good bit of knowledge in it. And then other areas, like I think I'm going to go into more is like nutrition. I have a good idea of nutrition, but probably not an in-depth knowledge. So I suppose I'm trying to use this time to improve my knowledge in them areas, and I think that's a good thing that this time gives you, is that the stuff that you said you didn't have time to do, you now literally have nothing but time to do. So I've been spending my time doing that. I'm also trying to get some more stuff for the gym. Colin's gym gear, they're the ones that set up my new racks and all in the gym. I sent like a list of things to them, so I really want people to walk back in the gym in the next couple of weeks and be like, fuck, this place got different. Really want to improve it and improve the whole service that I'm offering. So trying to use this time to reflect on all that, which I think is a good idea. Then I suppose in the evening, then I'm usually training every day in the gym at 4 o'clock, doing like an upper body and lower body split. So today is lower body, so I'll be doing some squats. I think it's 3 sets of 5, and then it's like RDLs, dumbbell reverse lunges, and a wee bit of core work. So sprints in the morning, that in the evening, and then tomorrow will be upper body, but I'll do probably tempo runs in the morning. And I'm feeling stronger, like, and it's probably the only time when I've been able to concentrate just solely on the gym. You know, the reality is whenever you're playing football, it's hard to really build a good level of strength and size because you're running so much, you're recovering from Gaelic, you don't want to do too much because you've got training, you know, it's difficult to balance. So I've been able to use this period just to kind of focus on getting stronger, and I'm feeling fucking very strong at the minute, which is nice. I've always kind of wanted just a period of time where I could just focus on that, so I've got it. So current training is going good. I've watched fucking, or not watched, I read David Goggins' book. If you don't know who David Goggins is, go and check him out. I read his book and it kind of motivated me to run through a fucking mall, so I woke up and thought I'd go and do a half marathon. Well, that's a lie, I didn't say that. I woke up and said, I've been doing kind of a wee bit of long distance runs. There's like a loop around our house that goes all uphill, and it's like a 7-mile loop, but it's just all uphill. And I kind of thought to myself when I was doing it, I was like, fuck, if I could do this, I could definitely do at least double this here. Like I could do fucking a half marathon, because this all is uphill. So I woke up the morning, I was like, I'll do an hour of running. I'll run for half an hour and then turn and come back. And I think at the half an hour point I was like 3 or 4 mile in. I was like, fuck, I may as well just kind of bang out another 2 miles here to hit the half marathon. And the first like half of it, so the first 6-7 miles, I felt pretty good, and I think I was holding like 7-minute, 8-minute miles. I'm feeling pretty strong at it. And then gradually, as like I started getting closer to the house, it just started to break down more and more. So like my feet started to fucking just crumble underneath me, so I got pain in my feet every time I fucking stepped. And then I experienced this thing called chub rub, which I never experienced before, which is basically the two insides of my leg just started rubbing against each other so much that they started bleeding. I was told it was called chub rub. I was thinking it was because my legs were so big and muscular, but apparently not. Apparently it's because they're fat. So that was fairly unpleasant every step, and then my knees started to get sore. So like gradually, as like I went further and further, if you had seen me kind of where I started, I looked pretty strong, and then if you came back, like it would have been, you would have felt sorry for me, I would imagine, if you walked by me and seen me. But I completed it, and although the pain was like I couldn't even fucking lift my shoulder for a couple hours afterwards, because I think I had my arm just set in that kind of running position for 2 hours straight, and I was like doing an isometric for like 2 hours, and my shoulder was fucked. And eventually it came around, but eventually I came around. But although the pain was terrible, all I can say is that the sense of satisfaction and accomplishment I got off it was probably like nothing else I've ever experienced. And that was kind of amazing, and I still kind of have that feeling. It makes you think, you know, I had never really done any specific training for that, but it does make you think, we put a lot of limitations on ourselves in terms of what you can do and what you can't do, and you can really do a lot more than what you think. And that's one of the things Goggins talks about in his book, is that whenever you're fucked, you're really only at 40%. There's a lot more that you can do, and I kind of, whenever I done that, I started to realize that, because when I got 2 or 3 miles in, I was feeling kind of shitty, and then as you push through it, you get better and better, and I sort of realized that I think sometimes we only go to that, we hit that first kind of pain block and then we stop, but there's a lot more you can push through. Um, if you listened a few weeks back, I had my brother on. The episode's called Strong Physio. It's actually a really good listen for injury prevention stuff. But being brothers, we're all kind of competitive, so I had done my half marathon, and I thought, well, like, they're not big runners, so they're definitely not going to do that. And then my brother Mark, the one that was on the podcast, went out and done a full marathon with no training. He ran around the same loop, this park, and I think the loop's like fucking maybe 1 kilometer. So he just, I don't even know if it is that much, so he just looped around it and looped around it. And he done a full marathon. So that basically means now I have to do a marathon and try and beat his time, although it was never said. It's kind of like one of the unspoken laws of having a brother, you just always have to beat them. So I now have to do a marathon and beat his time. I have no want or desire to do a marathon other than just to beat him and to say that I've done it. And I know the accomplishment will be brilliant afterwards, but the pain I'm thinking about experience is going to be going to be awful. Like, I done my half marathon in under 2 hours, and I was happy with that because I never done the long distance running. So I think if I was to do a full marathon, like, to try and get it 4 hours would be so painful, and I'm really not looking forward to that. His time was shite, to be fair, as well, so I really don't have to go that fast, but I would like to set a good time. But the thought of doing a full marathon is fucking atrocious. But it would be a pretty, if someone asks you what you've done over quarantine, done a full marathon, it's pretty productive, like, I'll take that. So that's in the back of my mind now, is to throw in a wee marathon some weekend. And I realise the secret too is that, like, and this makes no sense, but it makes sense to me, whenever I run from the house, all I have to do is, like, whenever I set in a half marathon, all I said to myself was, as long as I hit 7 miles, I've done the half marathon, because I literally have to run back to the house because I have no other way back. So I think with my run, and I think it's a good idea for running, is like, set yourself with no option, but whenever you get to a certain point, you have to run back. So, like, if you want to do 10 miles, run 5 miles away from the house, and then you have no option but to run back. Whereas if you do it in the treadmill or you do a loop, it's very easy to be like, fuck this here, and just jump off, because it's so easy to kind of quit on it. Whereas if you have to run 6 or 7 miles away, you literally have to run back. So I think what I'm going to try and do is run 13 miles away from the house, and then have no choice but to run back. But I'm not looking forward to that. I'm sure I'll vlog it and keep you all aware of what's going on there. But yeah, training's going good, so I'm happy that way. But I would say I'm eating a whole lot of fucking, I think everyone's baking at the minute. I think I've had about 10 loaves of banana bread at this point. Everyone seems to be baking, so I've been eating a lot of baking goods, but it is what it is. I feel like I'm burning it off. Anyway, so yeah, the whole coronavirus situation, I think, there's obviously so much fucking information out there. You could watch one video on YouTube and it would make you believe that the whole thing's a load of shite, and then you could watch another thing and it could really make you scared. And it's hard to know what to believe when there's so much information, but I think the sort of big takeaways is, obviously, there is something there, and although you could watch some of these videos are going around saying it's bullshit, and whether it is or it isn't, I think ultimately you have to take care of yourself and take care of the people around you, regardless of what you think, and you have to do what the people and the people in power are telling us to do. But I think the thing that is kind of worrying me is kind of how people are acting and how things are going on. Like I had people now seem to think that, like, they have the right to message and tell you what to do, or like question what you're doing. Like, if you go out for a fucking walk, somebody now has the right to sort of say to you, like, fuck, you're not taking coronavirus very seriously. I think a lot of people think they're heroes by messaging someone saying, are you self-quarantining, are you this, are you that, but really they have no idea of the context of the situation. you know, like I'm maybe going for a walk and someone can message me and I put up a picture and someone message me, oh, you're not taking it very seriously. And like, I never really reply back to things like that because I feel like I don't want to give it my time. But you feel like replying back going like you don't understand that, number one, this is the 1 hour I'm out in a day, and number two, like the place that I'm going walking is called Kellywool. That's how fucking culture it is and how rural it is. You never heard of it, have you? Well, it's fucking culture. It's in the middle of nowhere, it's up a hill. So unless the fucking trees have got coronavirus, you're pretty safe. There's nobody up there walking. But yet people have the right now to like message you and be like, oh, what the fuck are you at? Like, you know, can't do that there. And that annoys me. Um, and then my girlfriend was down staying with me for a couple of weeks, and just staying down here at the house. And we were quarantining down together. And like he put up a picture, and some people were messaging saying, oh, you know, like, are you self isolating because I can't see my girlfriend, boyfriend, and as if like you're kind of just coming down for the crack some night. Even news throughout this year, people think that you just like don't care and you're just going on as if things are normal, and that's what annoys me, is that people don't think about the context or even want to ask about the context of the situation. Whereas if someone asks saying, hey, what's the crack there? You've seen a lot of each other, you could say, oh, we're staying down here for 2 or 3 weeks. But people now have the right just to assume that you're not taking it seriously, so then can message you, and that fucks me off, to be quite honest. And then I see, like, I seen stuff about like the police sort of saying to people like, why are you going to the shop, what are you buying? And I think obviously Downing Street came out and said that like you can go to the shop and buy whatever you want, but there's a lot of fear and a lot of this fucking people thinking they're heroes by calling people out and really don't understand the context of the situation, and I don't like that. And I think it's a good example of what fear can do, and maybe spending too much time in the house can fucking do. You know, people would never do that normally, but now people think because of the situation you can kind of do that there, and I don't think the situation changes how you act to people. You know, be nice to people. If you're wondering about something like that, you maybe ask the right questions. You don't touch, make fucking assumptions, because that annoys me. And I've had a bit of that there going on, where people like feel like they have the right to message you, to question what you're doing, and that fucks me off, to be quite honest. Or like I'm maybe down in the gym and take a video of me doing squats by myself, and people are like, "You fucking mad? Taking a video of that? Someone will report you." Like, what the fuck is going on in the world that like you can't take a picture in your own gym that you pay for when no one else is around? I don't know, that kind of that worries me, to say the least. But I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst thing to be worried about. There's a lot of people who have a lot worse situations to be in, and I still have my health, and all people have their health, which is the important thing. But I think just that's one thing that I would sort of like to say to people, is that don't let fear maybe change the way that you act around people, and don't let all that's going on change the way you act around people. Just be nice to people and don't make assumptions. It's a dick move. So that's one thing I had noticed with the whole coronavirus situation. But I think it's weird when you live in a rural community too, you know, somewhere that maybe isn't like a city, and you don't see or hear as much of it as you would if you lived in a London or a big city like that, where it obviously spreads more, like maybe Belfast or something, because people are so close together. So I think if you're in a rural community, you're kind of shielded from it a wee bit, which is strange. And you kind of have to watch the news to remind yourself that it is a serious situation, because if you didn't, like, I've deleted Facebook and I very rarely watch the news, and sometimes you forget that it's going on, which is probably a bad thing. So I think you do have to remind yourself every now and again how serious this situation is. You know, you have to watch the news, and sometimes the news is bullshit, but sometimes you have to watch it just to remind yourself that there's a lot of people have it worse, and it kind of makes you appreciate that we're lucky to be, probably Ireland in general, we're lucky to be an island, and we're lucky to be rural in nature, and not be living on top of each other, like. And then I seen, obviously, Gaelic has been cancelled. I seen a tweet last night from something to one of our group chats, from Team Talk. Here it is. So it was from at Team Talk Mag Live. Galway Bay FM Sport reporting that All Ireland finals on 18th to 25th of October under current format. Capacities for all games massively reduced, if allowed at all. And then another one saying that club championships begin in June or July. No spectators. Formats redrawn to ensure each team gets minimum 2 games. I don't know if that's just for Galway or if that's just being chatted about for everything, but I was thinking about it and it's weird, like, because I think the fact you're having, like, obviously how you do it, it's going to be a difficult one. How you bleed that back in and how you manage crowds and all, and that's a difficult decision to make. But I think even thinking myself, like, playing without spectators would be kind of shite. Like, that is part of the reason why you play. You play for the community and you play for the people that are down watching, and it'd be weird not having an atmosphere at a game. Um, and I even think at like the All Ireland level, would Croke Park, will it be even worth their fucking time doing that if they can't get spectators in? I would really imagine the only reason that they really want to have games going on is for the money, like, and that's probably why they want games back in, because they need money to pay bills and they need to pay wages and amongst other things. So you kind of wonder, is no spectators really going to happen? Um, and would you want to? I suppose maybe you'd have no choice in it, but I just think it would be a bit shite playing without spectators. Is it better to wait another month or 2 months to try and get spectators at games? I don't know. But if that was the way it was to go in June or July, you wouldn't be well excited for it, I don't think. Imagine you go and win a championship and nobody's there to watch it. It'd be kind of shite, like. Definitely wouldn't be the same. So that was the only thing just put in that possibly could go ahead. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if I think it's a great idea, but maybe it's the only possible option at the minute. Like I was thinking about the other day, and we're in April now. Let's check my fucking watch there. We're in April now. You're not going to have anything in April. Likelihood is you're not going to have anything in May. Probably best case scenario at the end of May is that you maybe have like a bleed-in period where like you start to go to maybe bigger crowds, like smaller crowds, and you start to bleed into that, and you bring things back to some sort of normality slowly. But you're talking the best case scenario, I think mid-June, July, like, because teams need 2 or 3 weeks to prepare then as well for games. So I think you're talking June, July is your best kind of option when you think about it kind of logically. And I suppose if cases keep going up as well, it's going to be postponed, because I know in the north, I would imagine we'll follow the same as the south and do another 2 or 3 weeks of lockdown, and then there could very easily be another 2 or 3 weeks, or else 2 or 3 weeks of bleeding back into whatever we were before. But it's weird to think of how things are going to be after all this. Is there going to be big crowds at concerts? Is that going to be cancelled? Is people going to be flying on planes? Like, the world after this is going to be very strange, and how people are going to be after this. Will people just say fuck it and go back to normal and not care, or will there still be a bit of kind of lingering doubt of like, I don't want to be in a big crowd, and you maybe want to still distance yourself from the older population so that you don't make them sick? There's a lot of doubt. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So that'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks, but it's fucking frustrating for us Gaelic wise, because we were having a good start to the season, and things were going really well, and you were thinking like, this is going to be the fucking year, and everything just goes to shit then. Annoying. Right. Got some of that off my chest there. Now I'll put some, try and give you some useful information at the minute. So what way should your training be right now? I think obviously it depends a lot on what equipment you have, so everyone's equipment's fucking varied at the minute. A lot of people have full gyms, a lot of people don't have anything, a lot of people maybe have a fucking barbell and a dumbbell, and that's the difficult thing. Just kind of what way you approach it. The way I think you should approach it now, really, you're going to have 5 or 6 weeks, and that's the best case scenario before games or anything. I think you're probably more likely talking 8 to 10 weeks, but say you're talking 5 or 6 weeks, I think you should approach this like just like a pre-season again. Obviously we would be in the season right now, so things would be different. You'd be doing a lot of maybe power work, you'd be doing a lot of stuff just to keep you fresh, maybe a bit more upper body work, and be a lot more focus on the game and on skill specific work. So I think right now what you have to do is go back and pretend this is like pre-season. So maybe go back and listen to the pre-season podcast I recorded. But I think working on your strength again, if that has maybe diminished in the past couple of weeks, it's maybe something to work on. It's like an easy template. What you can do is maybe start at 3 sets of 10 for an exercise the next week, then go 3 sets of 8, but maybe add on 2.5 5 kg. Following week 3.6 or 3 by 6, 3 by 5, 3 by 4. You don't keep increasing your strength that way. That's a really simple linear way to increase your strength. Or else you could go for an option where you do like maybe an eccentric block for 2 or 3 weeks. So you do your squats and everything's like got a 5 or 6 second focus on it. So when I'm doing my squat, I'm squatting down for 5-6 seconds and then powering up. You could do that for 3 or 4 weeks with all your movements, so everything's eccentric based. You could do that with bench press as well. That's a really good way to develop strength. And then you could go into like isometric, so doing pauses at the bottom of your squats, doing pauses at the bottom of your bench press. That's another option you could do for 2 or 3 weeks. Another great way to improve your strength. And then you could finish that off for the last 3 weeks with a lot of power work. So really doing speed squats, doing like bench throws, doing movements like that are going to get you nice and explosive and nice and powerful. That's a really simple way to do it, but I've talked about this in other podcasts, and also if you go back through my Instagram feed, I've kind of documented what I've done in pre-season and on YouTube as well, so that'll all be there for you. But I'd approach this like this is pre-season, so your lifting should be focusing on probably getting stronger right now, and then focus on maybe specific injury areas. So can you strengthen your hips right now? Can you strengthen your hamstrings? Can you strengthen your groins? So for groins, you may be doing like the isometric groin squeezes, getting the foam roll between your knees and squeezing them. You could do your Copenhagen's for the groins. Then maybe looking at your hip flexors, maybe you could do some like hip flexor triangles. If you don't know what they are, YouTube them. They're like a real simple move that you could add into your warm-up. You could start doing some like split squat pause holds and hip flexion holds, like lift your leg up, stand against the wall, stand as tall as you can, lift your right knee up and just hold that position. And you're holding it for like 30 seconds, but that right leg will then be in hip flexion. So you're training those movements. And hamstrings, obviously doing your sprinting, that's really important for hamstring health. But then maybe starting to add in like hamstring holds, like on the bench, supine holds. You can YouTube them. And there are wee things you can start to add in now and start to build your strength there, and they can go a long way in preventing injuries. Like what you don't want to do is come back into the season and not really have prepared your body for what's going to happen in the season, because then your likelihood of injury will just spike up. If you're doing fuck all and then you go from 0 to 100, that's when you're likely to get injured. But if you keep ticking along and keep building your strength, keep strengthening those areas and keep adding in the run like we'll talk about now, you're less likely to get injured. It's really whenever you put when you put your body in a state of shock that it's likely to get hurt. So I think approach your strength training work like that, but a real simple model is 3 by 10, 3 by 8, 3 by 6, 3 by 5, and increase your weight on it each week. That's a really, really simple way to do it. It's really easy to follow for someone that's just starting out. And then maybe when you get to that 3 by 5 week, then you could start looking at some contrast work. So continue doing the 3 sets of 5, but maybe pair it with an explosive movement. So if I'm doing squats, I could do 3 sets of 5 squats and then do 3 sets of 5 box jumps or something. So you start to pair strength with an explosive, and then that gets you more specificity towards your game. So I would still, basically what I'm trying to say is, chatting a lot of shit here probably, but approach it like pre-season strength training. I think that's a good way to go about it. In terms of your running, I did put up a post on Instagram TV that kind of maybe goes into a bit more detail, but it's worth checking out. But in terms of your running, I think again approach it from a pre-season focus. So I think a mix of doing some kind of mid to long distance runs, and then some interval runs. So in terms of your mid to long distance, I'd say really like you don't need to be going over 3 to 5k. Like what I find is whenever I go over them high miles, you're not moving very nicely and not moving very effectively, and all you end up doing is just ingraining bad habits and hurting yourself. If you do a 10 mile, you'll find that it doesn't really tax your aerobic system. It just fucks your legs, and I don't know if that's really a productive thing. Whereas if you go for a 3k or 5k and you try and beat a time every week, it's going to tax you. Yes, it's going to tax your legs, but it's also going to tax your aerobic system and help build that base. So maybe what you could do is once a week, twice a week, you do a 5k. So say like on a Saturday, maybe as your day that you do a 5k, and each week you're just trying to beat your time. And that could be a simple way to get your long distance working. Or if you're not even close to doing a 5k, start with a 2k, build a 3k, build a 4k, 5k. Use common sense obviously, but maybe trying to beat your time in that each week. And then 2 or 3 other times a week, starting to do some sort of interval running. I love, and I always talk about tempo runs. So tempo runs is basically where you're running a kind of like a 75% pace for say 100 meters or 200 meters, and you're trying to complete it at a certain time on the dot. So say for 100 meters, I'm trying to complete it at 17 seconds on the dot. I'm not sprinting it, I'm just trying to be there at 17 seconds, and that's going to be about a 75% pace for me. And then I'm going to rest double that. So whenever I have double rest to work, it's going to be more aerobic, so that's going to be building your aerobic base up. And that's a really good way to build up distance, but distance in high speed. So 75%, 80% running is still pretty high speed. And your likelihood of getting injured from that type of running is a wee bit lower than if you were just fucking sprinting 100 meters. So you could start to build up your distance of high speed running with that. So say week 1 you do 10 by 100 meters in 2 or 3 of the sessions. Week 2 it's 12 by 100, 14 by 100, 16, or else you could start doing maybe like 5 by 200 meters, do it in 40 seconds, rest 80 seconds, do 10 by 100 meters after that, do it in 16, rest 36. You know, so that's a wee way you could approach it, but I would like write it out and just try to build your distance each week with it, and look at it in terms of a weekly distance. So say by the time you get to week 10 of this year, so say maybe we're hoping we're going to be back then, you'd want to be hitting maybe around like between 8 to 10k worth of running, and that's going to be very similar to your game demands. There's very few positions in the pitch that aren't going to be hitting that, so that'll mean that whenever you go back to game time, your body's not going to be in shock. It's going to be like, well, I'm fucking used to running 10k. So you know, that could be doing a tempo session on Monday, doing one on Wednesday, maybe one on Thursday, and then your longer run on Saturday, and just progress it each week slowly but surely, and that'll hopefully get you to a point where you're covering a good amount of ground, or covering a good amount of ground at high speed distance. I think another important part then is adding in your sprint work. So I always kind of chat about how important sprint work is, but starting to do some more sprints in your training, great for hamstring health, but also just great for developing speed. You know, there's nothing that can develop sprinting speed like sprinting. Makes sense, you know, it's specific to it. So I think trying to do that maybe at the start of each of your tempo sessions. One day could have an acceleration focus where you're maybe just doing not to 10 meters, not to 20 meters. Anything after that we would call like kind of max velocity, or real velocity based sprints. So that could be maybe 30 meters, 40 meters. You maybe only have to do like 2 or 3 of them. If you do a 40 meter sprint all out, you don't have much left in you, you know. So I think doing 2 or 3 of them, maybe in one of your sessions, then one session could be not to 10, not to 20 meters. Maybe add in some multi-directional stuff, some agility work. That can really give you a good basis for a program then, so by the time you get back to training, you're in a good position. That's kind of the running and lifting, I suppose, mixed up. Now you could do other methods of intervals, so you could do mass based running, or else you could just do intervals based on kind of the energy system work to rest ratios. If you want to do a bit of googling and researching that, you could play about with different distances, but I like the tempo based style, and there's a lot of research on it at the minute if you only kind of go and look at it yourself, and a lot of coaches really seem to like it. Yeah, my camera is running out of battery here soon. Also I apologise if the soundiness isn't great, but I'm recording this on my phone. The fucking microphones are down at the gym, and I was kind of like, fuck it, I don't really, I'll be alright here, I'll just record it on the laptop. So if the sound's shite, I apologise. Right, I'm going to look at some of the Q&A questions that came up, some of the kind of more common ones. The big ones was always, the big one that came up this week and last week was in terms of running. So the long distance versus intervals, what's better? I feel like I've addressed that there now. What else do we have? Yeah, that was kind of the big ones, I suppose. And then strength training, I suppose I can answer that as well there. I think the big thing is just trying to get in a set routine of training. You know, get yourself in a routine right now. I think if you're not working, especially, routine is so important. You know, whether it be first thing in the morning you're training, have a time in the evening you train every day. Like I have a set time in the evening I train, and always do something in the morning. It's just pitching a good routine. I think that's really important. Another probably question is, you know, if you don't have any weights at the minute, what can you do? I think what you're going to have to do then is look at maybe doing more isometric work. if you YouTube Graham Morris or go on his Instagram, he has some really interesting stuff on how to do overcoming isometrics with no weight. So basically all you need is like a towel, and you put it underneath your feet, and you like try and grab the towel in like a kind of deadlift position and rip the towel up. And because your body weight's on it, you're not moving, but you're isometrically working everything in your body. You know, movements like that can be really good if you don't have any equipment at the minute. So you might want to look into overcoming isometrics if you're struggling with equipment or making things tough for yourself. Other questions about Easter eggs. I had a fucking white chocolate Lindor Easter egg. Quality, maybe the best Easter egg I've had. I've always been a Kinder Surprise man, but this was pretty special. Yeah, that was kind of the main questions that came up. And then a lot of them was about when I think football will be back on again and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of questions I actually didn't answer yesterday. Apologies if you asked me a question yesterday and I didn't answer. Yeah, I think that's kind of the majority of them. So yeah, another thing I've been doing is I've been throwing in a bit of yoga. I put up a yoga session on YouTube the other week. Which you can follow along with some yoga instructors doing like online sessions of yoga. It gets another thing, you have time to do these things. If you always said you want to do fucking yoga or whatever it is you want to do, start doing them now, like when you have the time, because the reality is whenever you go back to normal, you're going to forget all this, you're going to have no time. Start to implement those things. Yeah, this is a very fucking random podcast, and I probably want to do more solo ones over the next while, because obviously I'm not going to be able to get too many guests in, and doing it via Skype and Zoom is okay, but I don't really like it as much, and sometimes the quality isn't as good. You know, I like to go down and meet people and have a conversation with them. So I can't see there being any guests anytime soon, but I've been chatting to a few players, and I'm hoping that whenever we get back to normal, I'll have a few good ones coming for you. But right now it'll probably just be me chatting shite. I might try and do one every week. If you enjoyed it and this was useful, to send me a message and let me know, and you know, I might put up one every week. If nobody replies back to me, I'll take it as a hit that it was shite, and I'll just do them every 2 weeks. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I suppose closing messages. Get a good routine set up for yourself right now. Don't be lying about the house like a lazy hare. Keep yourself safe. Be fucking nice to people and don't make assumptions. And always keep shifting him. Lesson for life. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one, I suppose. Good luck.